we are differently able, not necessarily disabled. It just means your brain's wired differently, and that can be a gift just as much as anything.
Hello, my name's Amber and I'm a Junior Assistant Psychologist at Lexxic, and today I have Angus, who's here to share his story with us about his conditions and also what he gets up to in day-to-day life. So would you like to just introduce yourself, Angus?
Yep, hello, my name is Angus, and it's great to be here. I'm currently 22 years old, and I'm a professional magician who have my own business of performing at weddings, corporate events, private parties, functions, promotions, anything really. And also I do public speaking about growing up with autism because I have a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome and ADHD. And I also do talks at conferences about growing up with it, how Asperger's can get into employment and dealing with challenges, all sorts of things like that. I'm Warwickshire based, do travel around to perform, and yeah, that's about it really. Yeah.
Okay, so you said that you do public speaking for you know, helping people with Asperger's and autism getting into employment. Can you tell me a bit about the sorts of things that you would advise for someone?
Yeah, well, about well, how it works really is when it comes to Asperger's and employment, sometimes there can be prejudice. But not to sit here and play the victim about it, because everyone knows it is illegal to do that. But the thing is about Asperger's is sometimes you can struggle with delayed processing, struggle with focusing, concentration, can get the wrong end of the stick, taking things literally, being over honest. It's those sorts of things that a lot of people can, well, with Asperger's, can slip up on in an interview. Like, for example, an Asperger could go to an interview with the intention of earning money to buy something. And then when the employer asks them, why do you want to work here? They'd be too honest and tell them the truth. And a classic example of this is me. I had an interview for a college course that I was going to go on. And one of the questions that the interviewer at the college course asked me was, why do you want to join this course, Angus? What do you hope to get out of it? And I replied with, oh, this course is just a backup plan. My full-time ambition is to be a magician. And obviously, as you would have guessed, I didn't get the job. So things about tips I'd give on that is for an Asperger to always go into an interview fully prepared. Make sure the interviewer knows about their condition, and of course knows to speak really slowly and fluently, allows the person interviewed to understand and process what they're saying, and that obviously means giving them good pauses. It also allows the person being interviewed to, of course, talk about any adjustments that they might need. Like, for example, if they don't like different smells or have certain sensory issues, it might be advisable to interview them somewhere where they will feel completely safe and secure. Because, you know, they could be really good at their job, but if they're not given the chance, you'd never know. And that's why sometimes got to really give them a chance. So that's the sort of things I'd say in my talks about helping Asperger's get into employment.
I didn't know if you might have some ideas on how you could sort of educate managers or colleagues in the workplace on how to best support someone at work with Asperger's.
Definitely, yeah. I've got obviously understand their condition. Most definitely, you know what they need more than anything is the employer who really understands them. And of course, to make adjustments to them which they may need. And other than that, check they're all right regularly, because sometimes what can happen with an Asperger is they are doing a job which they don't particularly feel comfortable doing and don't enjoy, but they haven't got the self and inner confidence to speak up and explain to their manager that they're not really enjoying it. And as a result, allow stress to build up. So for the manager to check regularly that they're all right, check that they're comfortable with what they're doing, because while they may not be good at a certain role in that job, they may be brilliant at another role in that job. So that's really good advice I give to managers. And that's importantly, just understand them, make adjustments so that they feel comfortable, make sure they're all right regularly, make sure they enjoy what they're doing. And of course, anything that is particularly bothering them, do the best you can to make it comfortable for them. Of course, the more comfortable you make them feel, the most definitely they'll do a good job for you. Because I know loads of people on the spectrum who are in work who are actually really, really good at their job.
Yeah. Thank you, that's really helpful. Could you also say for me, like, the types of adjustments that you could put in place?
Yeah, well, give for the manager interviewing the ASPE, give them plenty of time to process the instructions. You know, don't speak too quickly. Do loads of pauses in between, which will really allow them time to process and take things in. Because if you talk too quickly and just carry on, and also use language which they probably wouldn't understand, you know, you might as well be talking in a different language. So be really fluent and clear with your words. Make sure they understand it before you go on to the next topic. Speak slowly, like I've just mentioned, and give them as much time as they need to really process the instructions and let things sink in. Because obviously they will just forget and completely not understand at all if you don't do those things. So that's the adjustments I'd make in one sense. But then in other physical senses, I'd adjust a certain place where they're being interviewed. Like if they've got a high sensitivity to light or a high sensitivity to certain smells, don't interview them in a room where they're going to be really uncomfortable because of sensory issues. So make sure they're really comfortable in the area where they're being interviewed. And if you choose to employ them, so of course to make sure that where they're working is going to be comfortable for them as well. So making sure they're comfortable in all times is definitely the best advice I'd give to. Well, I deal with my oversensitivities by going out regularly for breaks, whether that's for a walk around the block or whether that's just for a 10-minute breather or something. Give yourself time out every once in a while so you can refresh and then come back and you won't be as sensitive to it. Also things such as meditation, taking deep breaths, those sorts of things which really calm down your system. Doing things which you feel comfortable as well. Those are the sort of things which really calm you down in situations where you feel stressful because of oversensitivity. Like there's various autistic people I know who love watching football, who love certain songs. Listen to those things and do the sorts of things which you love and really feel comfortable in doing in situations when you are particularly stressed because of oversensitivity or you're in a zone where you're not very comfortable. Those sorts of things would help you calm down and make you feel more refreshed as long as you take regular time out and breaks. And of course, doing things that you love, such as watching football or anything like that, is not always going to be possible when you're in an area that you have no sensitivity. So the best advice I'd give when you're in a situation where you can't necessarily do what you particularly love, that will calm you down, at least give yourself time out every once in a while, whether that's rest breaks or 10-minute breather, or just have a time to just take 10 deep breaths. So breathing deeply, regular rest breaks, going out for like 10-minute breathers, those sorts of things in situations where you feel oversensitive can be most beneficial and helpful when you're in that situation. And of course, if you can't do what you love, which will particularly calm you down, then at least do the other things I've just mentioned. That should definitely help. So the advice I would give to someone who's thinking about getting diagnosed or has the learning difficulty but hasn't been diagnosed is definitely to get them diagnosed as soon as possible, because when they aren't diagnosed, it can lead to mental health problems and can lead to just them getting more and more trouble, people just thinking of them completely differently for it. So with what I'm about to say about my experience, without sounding like I'm playing the victim or anything, I'm just saying this to help anyone who's going through the same scenario. I showed signs of autism from the age of 3, but was only diagnosed at the age of 15 because from growing up in South Africa, it's really hard to get formally diagnosed. And as a result of that, you know, teachers and all the kids in my school to me as the naughty one. And they all turned against me for it. They all thought I was completely odd and strange, when really it was my Asperger's that was affecting me. And the thing that made it 10 times worse was knowing that everyone was against me for it, which just led to me playing up more and more. And of course led to really bad mental health as well, which is what I know this happened to loads of people who have not been able to get a diagnosis, and therefore they know that nobody understands them, apart from people who are like really close to them, but everyone else in the outside world doesn't understand what's wrong with them, and that will lead to mental health problems. And also it can really affect them getting into schools, really affect them getting jobs, and it can lead to things like expulsion as well, because I was expelled from 2 schools because of my learning difficulties, which no one understood due to me not having a diagnosis. So that's obviously the one side I'd say which is really good about, that's one side I'd say why it's really important to get a diagnosis. But other than that, also, if you have a diagnosis, it can allow you to get into specialty schools, allow you to have lots of access to therapies and schooling systems that will really help you with your learning difficulties. So that is why it is really important, in my eyes, to get a diagnosis, and don't leave it too late, because it will cause problems. Another piece of advice I'll give about someone waiting for a diagnosis is to go to a support group like the one I attend in Kenilworth, where they are all professionals who can help you access help while waiting for your diagnosis. And also link up with people who maybe one step further down the line, and get good contacts who can really navigate the system, because the sooner you get your diagnosis, the better. But as long as you get as much help as you need, that's also really important about getting a diagnosis. And of course, about going back to your question about any apps which help me in day-to-day life, which can be useful, meditation apps, breathing apps, calming apps, which allow you to like just sit and relax for a minute and take things through and just calm down, like apps which allow you to have a 10-minute breather, listening to your favorite music, listening to calming music, apps that allow you to just sit down and chill with your eyes closed for a minute and just allow yourself to completely refresh before you go out and start acting again. So all sorts of apps such as meditation apps, breathing apps, calming apps, which I undertake, which really help me in day-to-day life. And of course the forebrain, which is a device that I use as well, to where you have to like learn lines or learn revision for exams, have it on and speak into the microphone because it's attached to your head. That really helps with processing as well, because it has helped me. So that's hope that gives really good advice to people about apps and certain technology things you can use which help you.
Yeah, that's perfect, thank you. Do you have any specific ones that you would recommend?
Yeah, the forebrain, which is available through the Family Hope Centre, because it helps with memory core, and as well it helps with speeding up processing. Apps such as just general meditation apps and calming apps, which you can find on the App Store. And also touch points as well, which I spoke about, that vibrate on your wrist with different types of settings, whether that's sleep, anger, stress, calming, those sorts of things as well, which are also available through the Family Hope Centre. Family Hope Centre is a neurodevelopmental programme that works on the primitive reflexes of the brain, and the whole main goal of it is to go back to when the brain was first developed when you were born, and undergoing the exercises which of course allow the brain to grow. Because with the learners with autism and ADHD, disabilities such as cerebral palsy, and of course other things such as being blind or any sorts of disease which relates to the brain, obviously it didn't develop properly when it was first developed, as when they were a baby, of course. And from doing the Family Hope Centre, it exercises the brain how it was meant to be exercised, and the brain will gradually grow and prepare itself. And the main goal of it is, of course, to help people. And it depends on different things. Like for people who are severely autistic and non-verbal, the main goal of that is to get them regularly talking, to basically taking a severely autistic person and turning them into a neurotypical person who has a brain just like a normal person. Obviously, I know Asperger is normal, but you know what I mean. Basically, the neurological side of it isn't quite how it's meant, has its challenges. And I hope that comes across as right. And obviously, for someone with cerebral palsy, get them out of wheelchairs, get them walking freely, giving them the freedom that anyone in day-to-day life deserves. So that's the main goal of the Family Hope Centre. And of course, the biggest advice I'd give is, well, firstly, for the parents to ensure them as best they can that they're not alone and they are normal, just like any neurotypical person. At the end of the day, it just means our brains are wired slightly differently. And that can be a gift in itself just as much as anything. But of course, one big advice I'd give to anyone on the spectrum is to find your passion. And when you do, really embrace it, because the opportunities for anyone who finds their passion on the spectrum can be absolutely endless. Yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you very much for having me on this interview. It's been great.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Angus.